Is it on? Okay, it's on. Wait. Okay. What When were you born?
April 20th, 1960,
Where?
in Malta, Montana.
Where did you grow up?
Mostly in Oregon.
What was your community like growing up?
It was a close-knit community. Had a lot of kids in the neighborhood that we all played together with. They called us the neighborhood mafia.
What kind of schooling did you have?
I graduated high school.
Public school?
Yes.
Tell me about your parents.
They were Charles and Myrna Webb. My dad worked for Pacific Power. He was a lineman, an electrician. My mom was a homemaker. She took care of all us 4 kids. That was probably a worse job than my dad.
How would you describe yourself during your childhood?
I'm very active and very happy and independent.
What was it like when you were a teenager?
I don't want to disclose that.
What was your first job?
At 15, I cleaned a meat market
And
in Klamath Falls.
when did you leave home?
I lived on my own when I was 17.
Tell me about your career. What were you doing in your 30s, 40s, and 50s?
I worked in lumber mills and then got into construction doing concrete.
What was your relationship with your children like over the years?
Not as good as I would have liked.
Do you have a close relationship with your children now?
It's getting better.
Who have been the most influential people at various stages in your life?
My father was very influential. My siblings, my brothers, were very influential. And several people I've worked for have taught me a lot.
Who are the most important people in your life now?
My family.
Do you keep in touch with any of your old friends?
Yes.
How do you feel about retirement?
Like it will never happen.
What makes you happy now?
Working. Working and spending time with my family and fishing and leisure time.
What do you feel have been the most important successes in your life?
Starting my own business. Finally getting married. And watching my kids grow up to be independent and successful.
What do you feel like have been the disappointments?
Not having a better relationship with my children when they were younger.
If you could live your life over, what would you do differently?
Have a better relationship with my children when they were younger.
What have been the most influential experiences in your life?
Once when I got thrown in jail and my dad wouldn't bail me out of jail, and he told me if I got myself in there, I'd have to get myself out. And yeah, at that point I just realized it was time to grow up and start doing things for myself and not depend on my dad.
What sorts of things frighten you now? When you were in your 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s, a child?
Not much frightens me.
What is your best quality?
I'm stubborn.
What's your worst quality?
I'm stubborn.
How do you see yourself now?
I'd like to think I've mellowed a little bit. And I know how to negotiate with people well.
Did you have expectations at various points in your life about what growing older would be like for you?
I never really cared what growing older would be like.
How
So
do
no.
you feel about growing older?
Doesn't bother me. I'm not worried about it. Yeah.
What is the hardest thing about growing older?
That I can't physically do the things I could.
What's the best thing?
Having more wisdom.
What would you still like to accomplish in your life? You can't, Mom.
What? I can.
I would like to retire on a beach somewhere.
Can you take me with you?
Why were you given your first and middle names?
Why? I was named because my parents wanted to name me that. I don't think I had a lot of choice in that.
What's your first most vivid memory?
Me.
When I lost my virginity.
That's your first memory?
It's the most vivid.
Tell me about your parents. Where were they born? When were they born?
They were born in Malta, Montana. Well, yeah. In Montana. In Malta.
Who was more strict, your mother or your father?
Early in my life, my mom. Later in my life, my dad.
Do you have a vivid memory of something you were disciplined for?
Oh, yeah, lots of times. Too many to remember.
Did your parents have a good marriage?
At times they will.
Yeah.
How did your family earn money? Your dad was an electrician.
Yeah. My dad was an electrician.
How did your family compare to the others in the neighborhood? Richer or poorer or the same?
About the same.
It's really good.
What kinds of things did your family spend money on?
I don't recall. We never wanted for anything.
Did you have grandparents?
Yes.
When did they die?
When I was in my 30s to 40s, late 30s to early 40s,
What do you remember about them?
that they spoiled me rotten.
Did you have any pets?
Yes. Lots of pets.
What-
Always had a dog, cats.
What was your favorite pet?
Jack. My dog right now.
Who was your favorite teacher and why?
Mr. Rogers. He was my math and PE teacher. Yeah.
Did you have any heroes or role models when you were a child?
Several sports athletes, yeah.
How did you spend your summers?
We camped. Spent a lot of time up at Lake of the Woods, outside of Klamath Falls. We camped up there all summer sometimes.
What was the best gift you remember receiving as a child?
Oh, I don't particularly have any a football helmet for Christmas one year.
What big world events do you remember from the time you were growing up?
I remember watching the news and seeing all the deaths in Vietnam, in the war in Vietnam.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
A football player or a baseball player.
One sec.